HTTV in association with Absolute Warehouse Services. Danny, thank you for joining us. How are you, first of all?
Pleasure. Yeah, very well, thank you. It's been good to be back over the last week, to see the boys and to get back on the grass training. It's been long awaited, but no, it's been great to see them all, and there's been a real energy and enthusiasm around the training ground.
What's it been like to be back at training in these unusual circumstances?
Well, it's been different because obviously we've been coaching in small groups, so we've only been able to have 5 players on the grass at any one time, and we only have one pitch available to us at the moment at Canalside because the other pitches are having work done on them. So yeah, we've had a group at a time, 80 minutes per group, and we've had 5 groups a day. So they've been long days, but they've been really worthwhile days, and it's great actually to work with the players on this basis, that kind of one-to-one nature. So being able to get some really good work into them.
Yeah, I imagine that will help a lot of the lads, especially the younger ones, when you get to hone in on certain parts of their game.
Well, that's right. Yeah, we've been able to do a lot of individual specific work with them. So in the early part of the week, we were able to do work in departments. We had the defenders in a group, and midfielders in a group, forwards in a group. Then we moved on to having the right side of the team together and the left-hand side of the team together, and the central side of the central part of the team together. So yeah, it's been really good in terms of being able to continue to develop relationships, both with the players but also with the staff, because when you do work with the players on this basis, you naturally have more contact time with them, and hopefully you're able to influence them more than maybe you could do when you normally coach them at 20, 22 at a time.
That must have been something a bit different for you, having to plan your sessions for different sides of the pitch for just 5 players to kind of keep those relationships going.
Well, I think the session design and the planning has definitely been different to what we normally how we normally plan, because normally we plan for a lot more contact activity, and also we plan for activities with bigger groups. We naturally, during our week anyway, do a lot of individual work and a lot of departmental work. So we've got a lot of drills in our coaching library that work for that. But probably we've had to be quite innovative and creative around the non-contact aspect, because all of the sessions, obviously, with the guidelines around social distancing in this phase, have been non-contact. So yeah, we've had to be quite creative in that respect. But it's been good fun. And yeah, definitely we've got some really good work into the players. I've been really impressed with the level of fitness, and credit to the coaching team and also to John Iger and the sports science team in terms of the way the players have been looked after in that area. But no, we're in a really good place, and again, credit to the players, because their attitude and work ethic has been outstanding.
Yeah, that was going to bring me on to my next point. Obviously, we know the lads have been working hard away from the training pitch before, obviously, they could come back to Canalside. In this early stage, in the first week, is the physical aspect something they've been having to work more on just to get them back up to speed a little bit?
Well, I think we worked really hard with them during lockdown on the physical aspect, but obviously the nature of the physical training, we were able to do some Zoom sessions and some strength and conditioning work, but it was all remote work. We were also able to do some physical work and certainly affecting their aerobic capacity. But again, it was all very straight-liney. In the last 2 weeks of lockdown, we were able to do a lot more individual work. We introduced the balls, started to introduce some change of direction, started to introduce some accelerations and decelerations and more football-related movement. So they come back in a good place. And of course, this part of our training is quite physically orientated, but at the same time, we always try to affect the technical and tactical aspects of the game at the same time. And it's been valuable, really. Obviously, when you take over a team mid-season, you kind of get the pre-season that somebody else has planned and prepared. and delivered. So to have this time has been invaluable, and we feel like we've made some real gains, and now we're looking forward to the next stage, which will be going into some contact training at some stage this week, and then into hopefully some preparation games leading into the resumption of the season.
And throughout, obviously, your day, you've been training with group to group to group. How have you found that? How long, like you said, the sessions have been 80 minutes, so you must be on the grass from like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., no?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. I think the first 3 days, on my iWatch, I think I covered 87 kilometres in 3 days. So they've been testing for the coaching staff, but we love football, so it's been great for us, and we've thoroughly enjoyed the contact time we've had with the players, and like I said, we've had some real gains, and some of the boys have come back in really good shape. I think for everybody, this period of lockdown has given everybody a chance to reflect, and it's, you know, it's certainly been powerful for the players and for the staff, and I think consequently players have come back really refreshed and ready to go.
How have they been mentally coming back? Because obviously it is a difficult situation for everyone, but we all love our football, so I can imagine that that's put a smile back on their faces.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes you don't know what you've got until you haven't got it, and maybe we're all at times guilty of taking life for granted, and we're very fortunate to live a life where we do a job that we love, and we're involved in a sport that we're passionate about, and when it gets taken away from you, you realise how much you kind of rely on it. So no, it's been really good, and certainly, you know, the players have come back physically in a good place, but mentally refreshed as well, and we feel that we've really benefited from this period, and what we're hoping now, all the hard work that we've put in during lockdown and the resumption of training, that we get value through the results that we're hoping to have.
Obviously now we've had our first week of training with obviously the announcement from the EFL regarding the provisional return date to football. What does the second week of training look like for the lads?
Also, we're preparing to go into full contact training from Tuesday onwards, which will be fantastic. We'll be able to also coach in bigger groups. So that will really help us, because we're now ready for, and the players are certainly ready for the next phase of training. The plan is to get to an internal game on Saturday, and maybe play 4 15-minute periods and a 60-minute game on Saturday. Then again, we're still waiting for clarity as to what we can and can't do. But the next phase for us would then be to pick up some preparation games against potentially other clubs. But again, we're waiting for guidance from the EFL as to whether we're able to do that or not. But certainly that's what we would like to do, and that would prepare us for the date that we've been given of the 20th of June. Certainly off the back of yesterday's announcement, it kind of, I think for us, the anxiety always comes in the uncertainty, and because we're people that like to plan, you kind of need a date so that you can plan backwards from. It's been quite tough to plan and schedule without having those dates in place, and now they are in place. We know that ultimately we're going to be back on the 20th of June. The EFL spoke about the Championship playoff final being played on the 30th of July. We envisaged that the EFL would need at least a 12-day period to do the two-legged semi-final and the playoff final. So that gives us really the 20th of June through to the 18th of July to complete those 9 games. So we're talking around 28 days, talking about 9 games in 28 days. So that you have to be a mathematician to work out that you're going to be playing every 3 days, which, if you love football, is great.
That'll be very physically demanding for the players. I suppose that's something that you have to build into your training schedule to make sure that they get the right rest, but also preparation, because the last 9 games are obviously really important.
Absolutely, yeah. They're the biggest 9 games of our lives, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, you're right. 9 games in 28 days is a huge challenge physically. So we're working really hard to make the players robust to be able to cope with that. Pre-season naturally gives you an opportunity to create that physical robustness that you need. We didn't probably feel like we had it when we arrived, which was not the players' fault. It was just where we were at. But certainly now we feel that we've had an opportunity to develop that, which has been a real positive. And like I said, we're hoping that we get fruition and reward for our hard work.
Yeah, and those games obviously will be played behind closed doors. That's a different element altogether, isn't it? More of a psychological one for the players.
Well, it'll be different, won't it? Because as I've said before, football very much to me is the people's game, and to take supporters out of the stadium, you're going to lose the soul of football to a certain degree. But we all respect that this is what has to happen in this next phase. We're hoping that the EFL can agree terms with the broadcasters so that all of our supporters can see the games. That's something that I know is very important to me and also to our club, because Huddersfield Town is nothing without its supporters. So we're hoping we're in a position to be able to do that. But certainly the games will look different and feel different behind closed doors. And there's some psychological work for us to do to be able to get ourselves in a good place to be able to cope with that. But we know that we've got an awful lot to play for. I could imagine it being harder for maybe clubs that haven't got as much to play for. Certainly, we're looking at the Bundesliga that are kind of leading the way, aren't they, in terms of world football at the moment. And it's been really interesting to see the results and to see some of the patterns. And home advantage doesn't seem to be such an advantage. I think the last time I looked, it was, I think, only about 18% of teams at home had won games, which normally with supporters it would be much higher than that. So certainly that's going to be different. Also, obviously, looked at the Bundesliga in terms of the amount of injuries that they've picked up during this period, and that unfortunately is the nature of playing so many games in such a short space of time. But like I said, we're trying to learn from their lead and be in a position where hopefully we can make the players really physically robust to cope as well as they can. There will always naturally be casualties. Unfortunately, with so many games, we respect that, but that's why it's really important that we get the whole group in a really good physical condition so that they can all contribute, and also to prepare the players psychologically for the games and for how the games will feel without supporters.
It's really beneficial, isn't it, that we learn a lot from the Bundesliga in terms of obviously on the pitch, the schedule, but also the atmosphere that some of the grounds have been creating by like pumping in artificial sounds, for example.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, no, there's been some really good ideas. I was thinking around our supporters actually, and maybe if we could produce cardboard cutouts of all of our season ticket holders. Not quite sure how we would fund that, but certainly seeing a few familiar faces and having the natural noise that we're able to create at the John Smith Stadium would certainly help us for the 4 home games that we have. I think there is definitely some work for the club to do around that and try to be creative and innovative and to give us that edge, because we all know that elite sport, the difference between winning and losing is fine, and marginal gains are everything. So if we can find a way of getting ourselves on the right side of that, then that will obviously benefit us for the final 9 games.
Danny, thank you very much for spending the time just to catch up with us and discuss training. Thank you.
Pleasure. Nice speaking to you, Adam.